Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show. Welcome one and all to another unfortunate episode of the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show. I'm Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And we're here to do a spoiler-free review of Hollywood's most recent unfortunate dumpster fire of a movie.
I don't think it was that bad.
Disappointing mess of a movie.
I don't think
Hellboy.
it was that bad.
No, it wasn't. Okay. So, real quick, we're going to do spoiler-free review, like I said. Then we're going to give you a spoiler warning and get more in-depth into the movie after that. So, yeah. No, this is it's definitely a bad movie.
Right. The movie, especially compared to the previous two, isn't great, but it does have some pretty good moments. We can get to those in the spoiler portion, but I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out to be. It's merely just kind of okay. Like when you compare it to the previous two, it's like, this movie doesn't need to be here. And like you'd even said after we saw it, if the first two didn't exist, this movie would be.
I said in a movie where those first two exist, that this doesn't need to. Well, that being said, like I said in a world where those first two movies didn't exist, and it was 15 years ago. I think is what I said.
Okay.
Because it's definitely...
It's low budget. So if you're gonna base it on like the visual effects, it's low budget because the CG, like the computer generated effects, are not great, but the practical effects and makeup effects are really good.
Well, I'm not like, as far as when I say that like 15 years ago this would have been a better movie. I'm not even talking about the visual effects. I'm just saying, like, the standard we've come to expect from comic book movies at this point compared to what we had 15 years ago.
So I think some changes could have really helped this movie, and we talked about this. We'll go into it in the spoiler portion.
It's got pacing issues.
We talked about this before. There's like whole segments that could be removed from the movie.
Yeah.
You could easily cut whole segments out of the movie.
With some pretty easy rewriting.
And,
because here's the thing, like, it's 2 hours long, which isn't anymore not that long for a genre movie. I mean, like, pretty much all the Marvel movies are that. Hell, Endgame's gonna be over 3 hours long.
Yeah, but if you, there's, like I said, there's whole portions that could be removed.
Yeah.
And then they could have spent more time on some other things to make them better.
Well, what I was saying, though, is, like, it's 2 hours, which isn't that long for a genre movie these days, but it actively felt like it was too long when you're watching it.
Yeah, like I said, there's whole portions that could be removed from the movie.
But yeah, it's got some parts where it's just like, well, this feels like it's moving along really fast, and other parts where it seems like it's going at like a okay pace.
It also has like identity issues in that they promise a darker, grittier Hellboy, and there are some parts of it that are definitely darker and grittier. But then there's other parts of it that are like really even like more lighthearted than
more like wacky.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, wacky and stuff, which isn't like, I mean, that's part of it.
I mean, Hellboy is a pretty pulpy comic.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, but it didn't. Like, overall, it didn't feel darker and grittier than the previous movies. It's rated R, and it doesn't really need to be.
No, they say fuck a few times, and there's
some blood and gore. There's plenty of...
Whacked the mic there. Hope that didn't mess that up. Yeah, there's some gore in there. Definitely some intense scenes or whatever, with some, like, really, 40K looking demons walking around and stuff.
But yeah, it didn't necessarily need to be rated R. I don't have a problem with it being rated R, but it feels almost like they're like, hey, it worked for Daredevil, or not Daredevil, Deadpool, and Logan, and so we're gonna go that, and it's like, it's almost like they took a PG-13 movie and added stuff to it to make it R.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it sits in this, like, it could easily be PG-13, and it feels like it started PG-13 and was pushed to R.
Yeah.
Normally, you start with like something that's like R, and then you cut it back to PG-13, or at least that's the way it used to work anyway.
Yeah, and this movie... So this movie's doing really poorly in theaters. There was like maybe a dozen people in the theater.
Was there even that many? I thought there was like maybe half a dozen.
Yeah, I mean, there was very few people when we saw this, and it's opening weekend
on a Saturday. Or no, it was a Sunday, huh?
Yeah, no, it was Sunday. It was Sunday. But still, it's opening weekend on Sunday in the largest theater at the multiplex we went to. It's a big, like, probably like an 800 to 1,000 person screen room. It's a freaking massive theater, and they so did not make their money back on that.
No.
I mean,
we wasn't really anything else to be in there, but
we bought tickets and concessions, and even the hot dog was disappointing. It was just an all-around disappointing experience.
The hot dog was okay. The bun was stale.
The bun was stale.
Anyway. Yeah, like, if you're a big Hellboy fan, I think it sticks a little closer to the comics.
Yeah. Well,
than the...
Guillermo del Toro, like, took Hellboy, and he's like, what if we take all this stuff involving demons and extra dimensions and, like, really lean into it being, like, Lovecraftian?
Yeah.
And, you know, really eldritch it up.
Which he's so into.
Yeah. And it worked. It, like, made a really interesting movie to look at. This movie really leans heavily into Arthurian legend.
Yeah, it's pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, everything's kind of generic.
Yeah.
There's one sequence in the movie that I think that sequence promised us the dark and gritty Hellboy.
Yeah.
That sequence was the dark and gritty Hellboy we were promised, and if they had made the whole movie like this sequence, it would have been a really cool movie.
I feel like that sequence is probably what convinced a studio to give them money to make this movie.
Yeah, and if the whole rest of the movie was more like that, it could have been a really cool movie.
Yeah.
And that one sequence was like easily the best part of the whole movie.
Does it feel like Arthurian themed stuff that's like, we're gonna take it and make it like darker and grittier? It seems like there's been several movies in the last few years that have done that, and they just haven't.
I think what it is, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but I think what it is everyone knows enough of the Arthurian legend that you can throw it in a movie without much exposition and just leave it there, and people can come in and understand what's going on, and it's lazy.
Because they can go, here is Excalibur, and they don't have to explain what that is.
Right. Here's King Arthur, here's Merlin, here's Excalibur, and here's how it fits in our story, and you don't need any other backstory beyond that because everyone knows those things.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So I think it's kind of, shorthand. It's a little lazy. So
yeah, as a result, I think that the Guillermo del Toro movies did a much better job of world building. There's that whole sequence in the second one with the marketplace.
The troll market?
The troll market? That was really cool. And they have like the stuff with like the different courts of the Fae and stuff going on, and they just like really build up the world. This one's like, it's like the real world, but there's demons and shit, and there's a secret government agency that fights them. Go. Yeah. And they like don't do anything else for world building beyond that.
Yeah, so anyway, it's got a 5.4. I think
out of 10
on IMDb right now. I think that might be a little unfair. I don't think it's deserves to be that low. I'd say more around a 6 is what I think it is. Because like I said, there's some good stuff in there. It could have, with some rewrites to the script and stuff, it could have been a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so the actor they got to play Hellboy in this, who I was like, we were like, how does one follow Ron Perlman?
Yeah, I think he did pretty good.
I think he did a pretty good job. David Harbour, I think he actually did a really good job. Mila Jovovich was fine.
She was how she always is.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, Mila's in another genre movie. All right, there she is. She's either the wacky or dark brooding hero type, or she's the evil sorceress type, and is pretty. I mean, that's
and Ian McShane is always good.
Yeah, Ian McShane's always amazing.
Yeah.
God, man, his face is all leathery in this.
His face is all leathery and everything.
That's true, but it feels like they really leathered it up.
I think he just got older.
In the meantime.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I remember seeing him was Blackbeard.
Let's see. I knew he was in American Gods, but I haven't watched American Gods.
Oh yeah, he was in John Wick, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last thing I saw him in was John Wick.
But yeah, the last thing I had remembered seeing him in though was playing Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean.
And you remember him from Game of Thrones?
He's in one episode.
Still, I remembered him from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well. Anyway, but yeah, so is that pretty much all we can say without spoiling it?
I say
so.
If you're just
bottom line, it's not nearly as good as the two Guillermo del Toro ones, and it's oh crap. What was I gonna say about it? It's underwhelming, and it's fairly generic sort of feeling.
Yeah, it's like
there's nothing about it where I was like, oh, this was really neat the way they did that. It was just kind of like,
it's kind of generic and predictable. The visual effects, the CG stuff, not so great. The practical stuff, really good, actually.
Dude, even the still here on the IMDb page, his head looks weird. Not even just talking about the horns there, but his head just doesn't look like it looks like it goes on that body. It looks like that is. But
it does feel like it sticks closer to the source material. So if you're like a diehard Hellboy fan, you might appreciate that that aspect of it. But if you're just a casual fan, it's not as good as the other ones.
Yep.
So let's throw up a spoiler warning and move on. So the one scene that I was saying, if they just made the whole movie as good as the scene, this would be a pretty good movie, was a sequence with Baba Yaga. And it's all practical. And they have this contortionist under the makeup, and it's all twisted and contorted, and
crab walking backwards and upside down is really unsettling.
Yeah, and the makeup on her,
which is what you want from a Hellboy when they get knee deep in the weird.
Yeah, and her makeup is really spectacular, and the whole scene when she's trying to feed him a baby and stuff, and everything to do with her, and
it show you her house walks up
on the chicken legs, their house walks up, and he's Baba Yaga.
Yeah,
but everything to do with her was really neat, and if they had just taken that and expanded the whole movie, it could have been a really cool movie. But other than that, like I said, there's this whole sequence with the Pegasus Club, right?
No, Osiris Club.
Osiris Club. That's why I said Pegasus Club. Was Pegasus involved somewhere else?
Maybe.
I don't know. I was thinking Pegasus. Osiris Club, which is a British monster hunting organization, and that the professor was a member of or friends with them or something, and Hellboy goes to help them out on some giant hunt. And anyway, it starts off as kind of the catalyst for some stuff, but it could have easily been written out. This whole sequence has very little consequence.
Yeah.
And they could have easily written out this and saved us like 20 minutes of the movie.
Basically, they have this seer who predicts that Hellboy is going to bring about the end of the world.
So they lure him there to kill him.
So they lure him there to kill him. And it's sort of, like, as far as the overall movie goes, it's really just a method to get him to England and tell some of the backstory. But they already spend so much time at the beginning of the movie building up backstory. It wouldn't have been anything to just tack Hellboy's origin onto the back of that, or explain it in a different way. But like,
or don't even explain it. I guess you kind of have to, but
yeah.
Assuming this is anybody's jumping into this movie as their first Hellboy experience, I guess you kind of have to.
Yeah, well, you have to treat it that way on a reboot.
Yeah, they could have done something else with it, but this whole sequence could have easily been rewritten, involving
Alice.
Alice, the other character. You know, she brings him to London because, hey, the ghosts are telling me stuff or whatever. And they could have eliminated this whole 20-minute segment, which didn't need to be there. It could have easily been rewritten. So the things that it does. The only other thing,
pulling that out would have helped them. Would have given them the more flexibility with the runtime to better do other sequences.
Yeah, the only thing of any consequence involving the Osiris Club that goes down is they're holding on to one of the caskets that has a piece of Milla's character, this witch. And she, like King Arthur, cut her into pieces and put each of these pieces into a different casket and scattered the caskets across
which
everywhere.
Considering how, like, nothing that whole scene, it's just like, they're like, someone broke into the Osiris Club and killed everyone and took it. It's like, if you were going to remove the Osiris Club from the movie, it ultimately doesn't end up mattering.
Well, see, here's the thing. The character that's collecting all the pieces, we only see him collect 2 because he's already collected all the other ones.
Yeah.
They don't need to see... They could just show him collecting the one, and we don't need to see him collect the other one from the Osiris Club. We don't really need to see that.
No.
It could have been anywhere. He could have already collected it. We don't need that. And the whole Osiris Club stuff could have been completely removed from the movie, and you had like a 20 extra minutes to do other things or develop characters or expand on things. Like at the end when the demons are walking the street, because at the end of the movie, when Hellboy takes up Excalibur, for whatever reason, that opens gates to hell and all these demons come out, and then he lets go of Excalibur and they go back. We could have had more stuff with that. Yeah. They could have expanded on that a bit.
Yeah, there was like hardly any of that.
It was just a very short sequence.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could have taken that time to, I don't know, do more backstory stuff or whatever.
Or
we could have just had a shorter movie.
Yeah. When I was talking earlier about the lack of world building in this versus the Del Toro movies, what I mean by that is it's like, until the demon portals show up at the end, it's like, we're being told, oh yeah, they're always fighting these monsters, and it's like, well, we've only seen 2 so far. 3 so far. Hellboy, the Giants.
Well, Hellboy fought a vampire in Mexico.
Yeah, and that's it. We had only seen 3 monsters up to this point, and that the demons don't pop out until like the last quarter of the movie, last like half hour maybe.
Not even that much.
Yeah,
I think.
And so it was like, you're sitting there going, okay, whereas the Del Toro movies, it was just like gratuitous monsters in the background. Just like, look, there's so many of them. Convince me that this organization even needs to exist,
Yeah. Also, the sequence, I think you could have easily written out the sequence in the cave with Merlin trying to get Hellboy to take up Excalibur. That could have been written out of there. He could have, because he goes to St. Mark's Cathedral, and then it's in the basement. So,
yeah, it could have been.
It could have just been.
It could have been like they, she lures Hellboy there to present Excalibur to him, and that's when he has the vision of like, oh, if I do this, it's gonna fuck shit up. Mm-hmm. And then he ends up, she ends up almost killing Alice or whatever, or or
The professor.
the professor. Well, what was it that even made him go like, "Yes, I actually do need." I guess she just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
To the point where he was like, "I can't beat her without this."
Yeah.
So like
I
they
don't remember.
like that could have just been how that went. If she presents Excalibur to him, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do that." Then they fight, and he goes, "I'm too weak to beat her," and then he pulls up Excalibur anyway. Like that could have been how that sequence went down.
And that could have saved some time.
Yeah. And honestly, I think though probably what ultimately all the issues with this movie probably come down to is the budget, and they didn't have the means to just have a bunch of monsters in there. They didn't have the means to.
I think the script could have done with some more rewrites.
Yeah.
But between that and the budget, is the real issue. This, I went over. They had one really great scene, and if they had been able to carry that through the movie, we could have had a really cool movie.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like that's the scene that was pitched to a studio, like used to convince a studio to fund this or something.
Yeah.
Should have convinced a couple more to sign on. But don't expect another Hellboy movie for a while, because
they totally set up like they're gonna make sequels, or they want to make sequels.
Yeah, they set up the ending to like go, hey, here we found this tank. It's labeled Sapien.
Yeah, the after credits scene,
and there's totally Abe Sapien's hand on the glass.
Is it them discovering Abe Sapien?
So yeah, they clearly wanted to make more, and I mean, who isn't that always the goal? Is to get more sequels made?
But it's like the Super Mario Brothers movie where they kicks in the door at the end, like, let's go fight, lock and load, and then they like run off, and or even worse, they used to put up in movies like in Mac and Me, like, there will be more, or so and so will return in whatever, and then like that movie never happens.
Yeah,
they used to do that all the time.
Yeah, they can't all be like, Marty, you gotta come with me to the future to save your kids, right?
Yeah, and then they actually do it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how many of those movies set up like with the hey, we're making more, and then actually follow through with it.
Yeah. But so yeah, that's kind of everything. It's kind of everything I have to say about Hellboy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think your time would be just better spent watching the first two. Let's see. What's our next movie's Endgame, right?
Yes.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah. Endgame next week. We're gonna review it. I don't know why everyone's gonna go see it. Doesn't matter how bad it's
gonna be a bunch of reviews before ours that go up.
Yeah.
So.
But we're gonna do it. And then there's nothing the following week because no one wants to be that close to Endgame. And then Detective Pikachu comes out, which I'm also really excited to see that. Maybe that Tolkien biopic. And then John Wick 3. Yeah, man.
Which will also have Ian McShane in it.
Oh, lad. Like we're getting there. We're like right on the cusp of
summer
movie season, which they keep pushing further and further into spring. I'm okay with it. But I mean, when there's like 13 major Disney movies released in a year,
yeah,
before they purchased Fox Studios, because now I guess technically speaking, like Dark Phoenix falls under that, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nuts summer, man. Gonna be so many movies to see. So I'm pretty stoked for it. You should be too. So it means lots of reviews from us. But otherwise, I mean, until that gets rolling, I guess you just sort of have what riff tracks and Game of Thrones to entertain you, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So if any of those movies coming up, you want to hear us review, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Or don't. I'm not gonna make you.
Right there, that movie it says 21 bridges, but the poster says 17 bridges.
Huh.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Which is it?
Which it is.
There's no like. Oh, here we go.
Is it a sequel?
17. It's got to be 17 bridges. Follows a disgraced detective in the NYPD who is given a shot at redemption, thrust into a citywide manhunt for a cop killer. He begins to uncover a massive conspiracy that links his fellow cops to a criminal empire, and must decide who he is hunting and who is actually hunting him. During the manhunt, Manhattan is completely locked down for the first time in its history. No exit or entry to the island, including all 17 bridges.
So why does it say 21 bridges on the page?
I wonder if, like, they named it 21 bridges and they're like...
And they actually did a head count? Like, oh shit.
Yeah, then someone's like, there's only 17 bridges, right?
Yeah, maybe.
It's got J.K. Simmons in it, though.
Yeah.
So, there's that. And Chadwick Boseman.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll see this movie too, Nolan.
Maybe. I don't know which movie I'm seeing, though. I'm going to have to walk up to the box office. Give me a ticket to that Bridge movie.
Oh, man. Yeah, so there's this picture of a script here that says 17 bridges.
I wanted to say, like, 21 bridges on the marquee, but then the ticket says 17
I feel
bridges.
like IMDb's the only one who has this wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's a picture here of a script that says 17 bridges.
Mm.
So, yeah. Oh, it sounds like a bad movie, dude. Sounds like a bad 90s action movie.
I don't know. I like 90s action movies.
Anyway, so that's what we got coming up in the way of movies. What was the last thing we reviewed? Not Dumbo.
Not Dumbo. What did we just see?
Something we liked, wasn't it?
Yeah, what was it?
You see too many movies. It all starts to blend together after a while.
Oh, yeah. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote.
Oh, yeah. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Much better than Hellboy.
Yeah, unfortunately, you probably don't have the option of picking between those.
No. But yeah, so anyway, if you're interested in hearing other movie reviews from us for such upcoming potential masterpieces as the Playmobil movie, go ahead and like and subscribe.
Did you watch the trailer for that?
Nope.
It looks so bad.
Nope. I have no interest in seeing that trailer.
It looks so bad.
So go ahead and like and subscribe so you can be notified when or you can see when we have future videos to go up. Check out our other movie reviews. Go see Riff Tracks next week.
Yes.
Or this week. It's this week.
It's this week.
It's
this
Monday.
Thursday.
Today's Monday, so it's this week. Wow.
It's coming on this Thursday.
I'm excited. Octoman.
Yeah, Octoman.
Yeah, so until next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.